jump right into this? Is the camera ready or?
Ready to go.
All right. We're gonna have to pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, folks. Welcome to our September 25th Selectmen's meeting. First on the agenda, we have that, the public, are we gonna take that highway safety grant first, or?
We have to have a public hearing, and we noticed it for 7 PM, so you can open it and just leave it and close
Yep.
it in a half hour or something.
Okay.
There's no comments.
All right, we're gonna open up a public hearing for the highway safety grant of $15,024, RSA 31:95-B. And if you have any comments about that, I can take them. We do have appointments tonight. We have John Blackwood and Ryan Murphy here to talk about access to the transfer station for logging. We had it was on our table twice before, and we denied it both times. I did get a call from Mr. Blackwood asking why, and I explained to him we didn't really have any details of where they were proposing to go. We really didn't have any details of the access over the railroad tracks, and Mr. Blackwood suggested that I do a site walk with him. I was unavailable, and Mr. Edwards did a site walk with him. Mr. Blackwood, would you like to come to the table here, or?
Well, Charlie was, they're gonna go right down the telephone lines there to get in there. And they'll work it through your days of close, and they'll put it back at the gate.
Okay. I'll turn it over to you. Brock and Joe are aware of this also, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Edwards to explain the meeting and what he found.
John, where's Ryan? He was supposed to be here.
He can't make it.
He can't make it.
He's not
Okay.
even in town. He won't be back till tomorrow night.
So will you be able to answer, can you answer the question that, did he call Eversource? Remember, because he was gonna call to see if he could drive down that straight path.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
But they're not planning on doing anything till winter anyway.
I understand that. All right, so I went down there with the logging company and Mr. Blackwood, as you said, and we walked where the first proposal was, the old road and the old stump dump. And it really would take a lot of work to destroy and rebuild that road. So we went down beside the railroad tracks, which to the right side of the telephone poles, which Eversource just cleared, let's call it a landing strip. It's just a straight shot right down the side of the wood line.
Yep.
It makes sense to me, that would be the most feasible place for them to do that, because it's very easy, it's not gonna destroy anything, it's already been cut, it's already been pretty much driven on by all the skidders and stackers and all that stuff. So I thought that would be good. And if you understand, it's a straight shot to the left, but just to the right of the telephone pole, right down through. Okay. I made it aware that I had some concerns, stipulations on how to conduct this. I said that the transfer station is open Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, and Mondays. So that is a definitely no. Thursdays, they're open till noontime, if I'm correct, and that was a no. So they would have, if this was feasible for them, they would have Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and a half a day on Thursdays to truck out the lumber. Now, I had said that in my opinion, I didn't care that they worked out there all week because they're not bothering anybody, but if they were trucking lumber, those are the only days that they could do. The logging company agreed that it could be feasibly done. They would have a couple of extra trucks to do it in those 2.5 days. The whole project would approximately take 5 to 7 days at the very most. So let's say 2 weeks and a workday week, let's say. So that would be the limit. But I believe we said that that he could haul all this stuff out of there in those 2.5 days And John gave them permission that they could drop off all them logs that they needed to drop off to get him out of there at his place, and then they could pick them back up, and they were in agreement on that. They figured that they could handle this all in those 2.5 days. My other concern was, who's gonna man the gate? Because you can't leave the gate open, because the gate, people will just be wondering. So they agreed that somebody would be standing at the gate or sitting there, opening and shutting it for the times on the Tuesday and the Wednesday that they were there, and the half a day Thursday. So the gate would always be closed and locked behind them, or at least there would be, somebody there doing it. They agreed that that would be fine.
And is that from the logging company or?
Yeah, the logging company, or I'm not sure his name, but
Rob had a suggestion.
Ryan Murphy, like,
okay.
Mr. Murphy, okay.
So the other thing is I felt on destruction. What happens with the road? Well, they said that they couldn't do it now anyway until weather changes and the ground freezes pretty much anyway. So by looking how they came down the road and how they access onto it, I really feel, in my opinion, there probably wouldn't be any destruction at all. It would be a pretty simple process for them. I did look at all the other alternatives, and as a hardship thing, I can see exactly what they're trying to do, and there's really not other ways to doing it. So I had gave them, my opinion would be, I would support this upon that my board would support it.
Where is this gonna end, with the logging, or is it going to
Yes.
be
Well,
claimed to a
okay,
field? Is it gonna be a house?
no, so that was a concern we had.
Yeah.
I told them that if they're going to get the logs out, they get every one of them out now, because it's not gonna happen again. And the logging company agreed that he would push the homeowner not to selective cut it, do what they got, what's there, what they need to get out, and it would be the last thing. So if you wanted to write that up as a contract, that they couldn't do it again, that's fine too.
But are we gonna be back talking about this when he wants to run horses? Like, is he gonna trailer his horses up through our transfer station?
No, I think that he can always go across, probably over on his land, or however, to get across the river. It was all
Just for the
about
logging.
building a bridge for these big trucks, and it was
Just for the logging.
just for the logging.
Okay.
So that's how I see it, is that he would have these stipulations, and the logging company, Taylor Logging Company, was completely in agreement and thought that they would do everything they could, because it's 20 acres of land. They pretty much can cut that in a couple of days, and they truck it out, and John's willing to let them drop, because you can't go that distance and truck that many trucks in one day. So they're willing to,
Depends where you're bringing it.
I got 10.3 acres. Is it?
I don't know, but he's willing to let them bring it to his land, drop them off, and then they can truck it at another time, and bring the rest of it, so that they're only there for 2.5 days.
I'd myself wanna see a written plan of where it's crossing our property, where it's coming out. You know,
Yeah, and I have
where
a
we're
concern if
coming
it's gonna
across.
only be done during frozen ground, then we're not plowing it. If we're closed on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, are we bringing somebody in on overtime to plow it if there is a snowfall? Because we don't plow on Tuesdays and Wednesdays necessarily unless it's to open the transfer station on
I
Thursday.
doubt that it would be done during the snowing area time.
Yeah, Brock,
Anyway.
And that being said too, I mean, if this is something that everybody agrees to, I think we should look at maybe those guys having to pay one of the transfer station guys to be there
Oh, for the gate.
for the
Oh,
gate.
definitely.
And then
That's,
if it does fall under that, there's somebody there with a plow truck that is getting paid by them anyway. So we can use that, and that might be another option as far as
That I probably wouldn't care, I was just thinking it would mess up your overtime kind of
It
thing.
would, we'd have to pay
Well,
overtime.
that's, we would have to
Because
pay
it
them
would
the
be like,
overtime.
yeah, it's
So it
too
couldn't
simple.
work like a police detail or something like that,
No,
because
we'd
there's
have
no.
No, a police detail is 4 times what overtime is. It would
Right.
have to be overtime.
No, I just meant set up that.
Because the
way,
way the labor laws read, it's not even if we ask them to work, it's if we suffer them to work. So this is too close to their regular job to say it's something else, and it's off.
but we're
And
only
this-
talking about regular working orders, correct?
Right.
Working hours, so
Correct.
it's really not overtime, you're just directing him
because
to
they-
go.
They
Well, no,
don't work on
no,
Thursdays and
no,
Wednesdays.
they're
They
days
work
off.
on
They put 40 hours
Thursdays,
in a-
but I told them that they couldn't do any trucking because there's a lot of movement on Thursday, but they could do it after the gate was closed if that was an agreement. I didn't tell them they could do anything. I just told them that we would discuss it.
But I guess what I'm trying to envision is someone just standing at the gate when they're loading these trucks there. He doesn't really need to be at the gate. I'm saying when they need to get out, he runs up there, opens up the gate. and
But
runs
their
out.
days off are Tuesday.
The trucks are gonna be running fairly quickly, them 2 days, because I'm only giving them the 2.5 days to truck it.
Okay.
That's what, and he says that he would just bring on an extra truck and they'd be able to truck it as long as John volunteered to let them drop it off and they just dismount it, come right back, instead of going clear to Rumford or wherever they bring it.
So what you're saying is they're gonna be continuously hauling, so there's really not gonna be a lot of downtime between that gate.
Exactly.
So it's actually feasible to keep somebody there.
That's what I said. I thought it would be feasible to have somebody there.
Right, but we're gonna have to pay overtime and they're going to have to pay the expense of that.
And I think that's understandable. It's not, I mean, we're not talking huge money by all means. It'd be
No,
the
if it's-
2.5 days.
If they can do it in 5 to 7 days, then you're talking about 2.5 days, 2.5 days, 2.5 days. Like even if we said 30 days, they should be able to get it done in 4 weeks.
Oh my goodness. They'll be done in within a week.
Well, if you,
But
let's
the
give them
only
bad
trucking,
weather and.
correct, that's what he said. That's why he said, give us 2 weeks
2.5 days.
if we have bad weather.
Right.
And they also said that, I said that it wouldn't matter if you're working in the woods, we can't stop you from working in the woods, but it's just the trucking. When you're coming across our land, it would have to be on a Tuesday, Wednesday, and half a day Thursday would be the only time that
Well,
would
unless
be.
Charlie,
they're walking in from the other end, they're gonna have to access it.
And if this is to go, they would have to stay to the left-hand side of that coming in.
Correct.
You can't have a truck going in between those.
No, and we
compactors.
talked about that, yeah, and it would
And
be.
and just me standing here, I think that just for protection for the town, we should look into at least having some sort of maybe a bond for that.
Yes.
That's a lot of weight coming on them trucks, and having them one right after another. I'm not saying they're gonna destroy anything, but what happens if it does?
Yeah, did you come up with a figure? Can we talk about that?
The roundabout is about 65 grand to pave that whole stretch.
Yeah.
So I think the going is what, 10% is a bond for, but then you gotta bond it through your own company
He can
anyway,
either
so.
get a bond through an insurance company, or he could put up 10% as cash, so
Right.
$6,500.
And if when they're
And
done,
if nothing
and
happens,
nothing happens, you give them their bond back.
Yeah.
we give
It's
them
done.
back their check and.
So we're talking $6,500.
Yeah, and I think that's all doable,
Yeah,
for-
that's-
especially with a company like that.
And that's, like I said, it's just to protect the town. It's not to say this guy's not gonna do it right or that guy's gonna do it right. It's just if something does happen.
Okay.
So can we just recap this to make sure we have it for the minutes? So,
Mm-hmm.
so logging will be beside the railroad tracks down Eversource's newly cleared right of way. They can only bring the logging trucks to the transfer station on Tuesday, Wednesday, and
Half a,
noon to 4
Yep.
on Thursday. Somebody will man the gates, preferably they pay a town employee to do that. They're gonna use Mr. Blackwood's place to drop the logs off, in case they get hung up with time frame. The ground has to be frozen.
I don't necessarily think, but that's the time frame that they're looking at,
They're-
to
they'd
being
rather
able
do
to,
it when the ground's
yes.
frozen.
And that
Which I
would make
think
it
is
a lot
better
better for the
because
traveling
they're
across the,
Right, it's
out there,
for
down there.
everything.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
better
it's-
for everything.
It's a one-time thing for logging only.
Yep,
Kenny said they have to stay to the left-hand side of the trail,
That's going in.
and then we're going to require a bond.
I'm okay with that.
I would say the bond for 100,000.
That's crazy.
You don't know what's in there.
Well, they haul logs out in the wintertime when the ground's froze, that road will be froze tighter than a tank, so it's not gonna hurt your road. They're not gonna haul it out there now, it's gonna be in the middle of the winter. And the frost will be in that pavement, probably 4 feet deep.
Whether it's the underground utilities, I mean, it's. Myself, I'd want to see a plan, the route they're coming in and out of.
You see it right here. They're going right straight down the side that's already been.
I haven't seen it. Last I knew, we were kind of all against this, and now all of a sudden it's a go.
It's not a go. We're talking about it.
Exactly, but
And we're trying to.
I mean, it's an old dump down there. That's why I would be concerned with, what's
Well,
buried
that's
on that lot
That's
7.
why I
I
kept
was
them on the
concerned
truck.
about that too, Kenny, because I thought they were gonna try to come in through the other
Right through
way.
here, I would think, right?
Yeah, they're going right down the power lines now.
Right down the power line.
That-
Yeah.
And
they don't-
Eversource
they have
is
to-
right.
Well, that's up to Eversource, right?
Eversource isn't gonna let him in there
The
right
only
away.
the only way you're gonna get in there without building a road over it is down that way and around the back end
Correct.
to get around the wetlands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
But
Eversource is,
I've called Eversource twice, and I have a whole different number than what any of the regular customers have to call Eversource, and I have got no response from them.
no,
So is that another condition that,
So-
do you
Oh, yeah,
wanna
give
see
me that.
written,
Yeah, it has to-
do
it
you
has
wanna
to
see
be.
written approval?
Yeah,
from
because they
Eversource?
can't, yeah, they can't go anywhere else. They have to go, that's the only spot that they should be able to go. Because the other way, we walked that whole other road that's there, and that's grown in so much, and there's the old stump dump is down there, and
Isn't there
There's a lot
a
of
cliff back
soft
there, too?
yeah, so they'd stay out right on the railroad tracks. It's already done. It's not gonna destroy anything. It's all, but like I said, it would have to be whoever owns that or
Well,
has
yeah,
the right of
railroad
way.
has already said no, or they said it would be so cost prohibitive, I think is what
Correct.
Mr. Murphy said. And so, is a condition that you want Mr. Murphy to provide you with Eversource's permission in writing,
Well,
whatever
he'll
he gets
have
from
to.
them?
They'll have to. Yeah, they'll have to.
Okay.
Because I feel that's the only way in there too.
Yeah.
You know, it's just,
It really is, and, you know, we looked at everything, and we even tried to think that we could keep them right off the Hotar completely and drive up, but it gets wet right there, and there would be no way they could make it through. And, but they can surely take most of it right down through and in the grass. It's grass and dirt and whatever the Eversource clear cutted there.
all right, so.
And they even have a place to turn around down there, so
I
they would.
guess we could table this until we get Eversource approval. Has he tried to contact them, John? All
I
right,
know, I know, just Taylor's gonna do it, or,
Yeah, he said he was gonna have, Mr., I'm not sure the guy's name, but he was gonna have the homeowner contact them, and I would have thought they'd have done that by now, but if they haven't, then that would be something I would want before.
We wanna make sure that we have written permission from the owner too, and it's not Ryan Murphy, it's his wife. So, when you do timbering, you need the owner to, you know, she'll sign the intent to cut, we
Okay.
should get something from her, just because I don't think he's doing anything that he's not supposed to be doing, but she's the owner of record on
Yeah.
this
No,
property,
that's fine.
well,
so
there'll be some timber tax involved with this too, so there is some
benefit to the town.
benefit to the town, you know, by letting them do this, but my concern, the other concern I have is after this is done, is he stumping it then, and how's he gonna get stumped out when he wants to stump it? Because really, I want this to be a one-time thing, get it done and get out.
I didn't ask that, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that
That's
was
my-
what they're
Because
gonna
he's got
do.
horses and
Of course they
everything like
are.
that, and you're gonna be riding horses around and hitting stumps. and-
Yeah, I didn't, well, I'm not
Building a
sure
house,
if they're,
making a
if they're
driveway.
doing all of the tree removal just to make the horses. I think a lot of it was to pay for the
Yeah.
field that they're making down by his farm, right? So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is just for payment to help them offset to doing it down at their farmhouse. But that's a good question.
All
I
right,
did
so
not ask
the
that.
most important thing right now is Eversource, so
Correct.
we need to see that.
If they
before we
don't,
can
then
make a
that's,
decision,
then
really.
it's a different animal.
All right.
So do you wanna make a motion contingent on Eversource, or do you wanna wait and do the motion?
I'd rather wait, because Kenny's, you know, he's gonna have concerns, and I'm with that, I understand.
I just want a written plan to see exactly where they're going.
Yeah. Just, you know, and John, you know what we're asking for, just draw it out. You know, like you can go online and get this here.
He can pretty much take this map and draw it,
Yeah.
you know?
Sharpie.
Mr. Murphy provided a map too that might be easier to draw it out on when he
Yeah,
sent the
I
original.
got that one too, yeah.
I got a question. Isn't there an RSA, landlocked piece of land for logging, selectmen have to give an easement somewhere?
Not anymore.
It used to be, I'm
Not
not sure.
anymore. Rick Sager, as a matter of fact, I spoke to the attorneys at the New Hampshire Municipal Association and Rick Sager, and they both recommend against this. That is for private landlocked pieces. This is not private property. This is public property. It's owned by all the taxpayers. So it falls under, the selectmen may
Thanks.
lay out a road or an easement across private property if private property is landlocked. But it does not have any contingents for public property. And both of those lawyers strongly recommended against the town doing this because of the precedent it sets and the fact that if there is any damage, you know, you wanna have a bond for it, which is up to you three.
All right, let's see if we can get Eversource approval. Then we can take it up after we get that. In the meantime, Kenny, you could probably, you know, if you wanted to go down and take a look. I still would have liked to see the figure of what the railroad, going over that railroad, because,
I thought it was in the tens or twenties thousand, at least that's what
Oh,
was
it's gonna be
said.
all of that.
Yeah, it said it was in
Oh,
the
really?
thousands,
They do that, yeah.
yeah.
All right, so I really don't have an issue if they can go down the power lines. We can discuss the bond figure
Provided
when we
this
get
map.
that. So,
What's that?
He provided this map, so maybe
Yeah.
if it could be drawn out on this
Yeah.
map. it
It's
might be
pretty
easier
simple.
for you
It's
guys.
it is a straight line completely, right? But it's something that doesn't have to be touched by the town.
And I have all the pages out of the Hard Road to Travel about timber and bonding and
mhm.
the town laying it out. I'll provide it, I'll email it to all of you.
I'm okay. I want us all
All
to
right, you
agree.
all set, John, for what we're looking for?
Yeah,
Okay.
they'll put them on, they're not, if you want one, they'll put them on.
Yeah, he knows, we talked about it. We just need the Eversource permission and then we can follow on with it.
All right, they can get that, I'm good to go, but that's gonna be a challenge, I think.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we're gonna table that till we get the Eversource approval. And we can discuss the bond figure at that time. All right, do we wanna move on?
Yep.
Do you got any more comments, John, about this, or? You all good?
He's good.
Okay. All right, super. All right, next on our agenda, Brock Mitchell, DPW Director, is here to talk about transfer station truck. It's my understanding that we had a truck come up that was available to replace a pretty dilapidated one we got down there now, and it was kind of like one of those deals that we had to look into. You went to the trustees of the trust fund, they approved the
Yeah.
purchase. So if you want to talk to us about that.
And Joe had come in across, we've been looking just online because we were gonna try to put a warrant article together for this year to purchase a truck for the transfer station to haul our own cans now. Now that we own our own cans and we're working our way towards being self-sufficient down there.
Did you come up with a number roughly you were thinking for the warrant article?
It was gonna be 80 grand, 80,000 is where I was at right now.
Yeah.
It's gonna be, that being said, we've been we're just looking at trucks for what we're trying to get prices together. And we came across this one and, we said, okay, we'll go take a look at it. When we got there to look at it, we were there 15 minutes and it was just a no-brainer. The truck is in very, very, very good shape. And it's a quarter of what it would cost to buy another truck. As opposed to, me saying that, we were gonna look for 80,000 and this truck is 18,500. And we'll do the same exact thing as an $80,000 truck will. And if down the road, everything works out the way it's playing out and we get a new truck, this one can replace the one that's down there that's, like
Yard
Mark
truck.
said, it's just a yard truck. It's not a road truck, it's not. But I think we had the opportunity to jump on it, so we did the homework to see if it was available, and everything seemed to come back good. So we brought it to you folks to see if it was something you'd be interested in letting us do.
Does this save you, what was the calculation, Joe, that this could maybe save a gain for us in money-wise?
Well,
You figure it was $80,000 a year for trucking?
alone is $63,000, just under $63,200
For trucking?
for trucking, just a haul
Per year?
per year. And up this year so far, with NRRA hauling some of our other stuff, we've already paid, $10,158. So,
So having this, what would you, so having this and doing it yourselves,
I mean, we're not talking the driver, we're not talking, which we'll do on our open hours. We're not talking maintenance, but we're looking at saving between $70,000 and $80,000 a year just on trucking fees. And to me, that offsets what's gonna happen with our tipping fees in the near future. That it's gonna continue to rise. So I think it protects us against having to raise our budget for the transfer station by offsetting it that way.
Yeah, I was talking to a couple of people, they said the return on investment's less than a year on most
Yeah,
of these.
well,
For this,
and that's right. I think 6 months you'll have more than paid for that truck. I think if once everything, the first couple of months is going to be a learning curve. You're going to be getting everything situated where you want it to be, but there's definite savings here.
I think so too.
Okay, can, anybody wanna make a motion to approve?
Yeah, we can continue discussion, I guess. I'll make a motion to approve the purchase.
I'll second the discussion.
The only where I thought those numbers may not work as well is when Waste Management hauls, they haul a trailer too. And we'll have to do 2 trips to that one.
No, usually when they come in with a trailer, they've got a can of somebody else's with them.
Oh, that's not ours when it
It's
leaves?
not ours. I can tell
Yeah.
you right now that we had 5 hauls on the 23rd at $210 a haul.
Yeah,
That's just 1 week.
yeah, I thought it was 300 a haul, but
That's 210.
210.
And
Plus,
it's going up
and
to
that's
220.
that's just transportation, then it's the
Right, that's
tonnage
not the
too.
tipping fee.
Yeah, then you've got
Yeah.
the tipping fee
Right.
on top of that.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And the can
potential
rental. Yeah.
average savings, 1,000 a week, 1,200 a week. How long is it gonna take to pay off an $18,000 truck?
How much are you think you're gonna do this on Thursday?
We'll do as much as we can on Thursday,
Tuesday.
but my feeling is, we get a can that's loaded up. I'm usually in at 6:30 anyway.
Yeah,
We don't open till 8. I jump on the truck, I take it down to Waste Management, dump it. I'm back here before we open. And when we don't have to haul 6 trucks on a Thursday, we can haul, and many times we run short on cans in the summer. It's gonna help us with that. Let's get this one out of here, we'll dump it, we got the can back.
This truck will also haul the steel containers and everything. So it's not just doing the MSW. We can haul our own steel now.
yeah,
Because we're paying, when they come to get a load of steel, we're paying for them to, it evens out so we're not actually sending them money, but it's taken away from the revenue of the steel because they charge us for the,
And their
Yeah.
haul fees are $8.55 on
so do you need a CDL license to drive this?
yes.
it.
So you're the only person right now at
Right
the
now,
transfer
and John's
station?
studying for his CDL.
Okay.
And obviously, if
Somebody
I
from
was slow and
highway.
I need somebody,
Yeah, there's plenty of
we
them.
can grab a guy, so it's, I just think it's an investment in the future, that's all.
worst comes to worst, that yard truck needs to be replaced anyways, and I would think 18 grand's not a bad price for the yard truck.
Right, and like I said, we use this truck for 3 or 4 years, see how it works,
Yeah,
and then that's what we do. We don't use that, we turn that into the yard truck, and if we do, for some reason, we do get another truck, because it's working out good,
yeah,
we don't use that other truck, we use that other truck just to haul cans.
yeah,
So there's a can on that truck all the time going, and the other truck is just used in the yard to move everything around and all the legwork.
especially
Switching everything out.
once you hooked onto the can to move it, it's loaded on the truck, it can go and then
Correct.
bring another can back
Correct.
on.
Unloading it, put another
Yeah.
can on it so we can back it in. It's gonna make, if we get, you've seen it, sometimes we have to change the can when we're open.
And
Only,
waste,
only once since it's been open has that
No,
gone in and
no,
you,
it's been- yeah,
only
yeah.
once it's affected me,
Probably
that's
been
the
about
only
5
backup
times,
I've
4 or
seen.
5 times.
and Waste
Yeah.
Management has been contacted, they have no issue with us hauling their
I talked to
cans.
Peter,
Yeah.
he said.
But we own our own cans.
Yeah,
If we buy, in the future, if we buy 2 more cans, we don't need any of Waste Management's cans anymore.
yeah.
We're done with Waste Management. It's
And a lot of the
except
problem I see down there is when they bring you back a 20-yard can for the demo and you need a 30. You've only got a third the
Right.
size can of,
In
or
the
you
summertime,
two thirds.
we need 5, the way it's running right now, we need at least 5 40-yarders. They can't give us a 5th one, they don't have them.
Yeah,
So we put
Yeah.
a 30 in there,
yeah,
and now
it's buying you
the
time.
40-yarder is giving us a barrier for the
Yeah.
people.
Yeah,
The 30-yard is down below the wall, so
Yeah.
now we gotta run a rope across here, and unless you're sitting there watching that rope or that caution tape, they step right over.
Yeah.
Now somebody falls in there,
Which we talked about 3 warrant articles down there this year, repaving, redoing the retaining wall, and both of them are $100,000 apiece, and the third one was the truck, so this gets the third warrant article off,
right,
which is good.
You're gonna,
So I'd like to give you some numbers too, as far as our revenue is not tracking this year. We're $30,000 below where we were last year, even with the changes made already this summer. So we collected $143,394 this time last year, and we've only collected $114,000. We're down 30 grand, even with the changes we made this summer. And our revenue is tracking $30,000 ahead. So we're $60,000 net in a worse shape than we were last year, even with the changes you've already made.
Now,
So
would that
this
be-
can help us on both sides. We're going to defray the cost of expenses by hauling ourselves, and we're
take
going to
in-
get some revenue back because we're not paying, and get some cash. So it's probably a
Yeah, because if
no-brainer
you're not
because we are
spending
not-
80,000 and we're getting 70, if he's thinking 70 back or 60 or 70, I mean,
we were getting 90 bucks a pound, or 90 cents a pound, sorry, for aluminum last year, down to 30 cents a pound.
yeah.
and,
So,
and that,
So you just said you just hauled aluminum though, right? But you're
Yes.
not making $30,000 on
no,
it.
No.
So we're 30,000 under where we were last year,
Right.
even with baling. And we anticipated, granted, it was not a whole year, it was not even the whole summer, which is our highest volume. But it's concerning that we're 30,000, all the revenues were off this year, motor
But-
vehicle, everything.
That being said, and I'm just throwing, last year, like you said, the price of aluminum was 90 cents a pound. It's
Right.
30 now.
But we
Price of
can
everything.
save the,
Stop that.
We're
queues
stockpiling
can
the aluminum
just
right
stack
now.
Yeah.
I've got 18 or 15 bales of aluminum sitting there right now, and I will call every Thursday, see what the price is.
The market fluctuates so much now. If we have our own truck and they call and say, okay, it's gonna be $1.10 today, but tomorrow it's gonna go back, we can haul that day. We'll just go. And wherever we can catch the most money is where we'll run the haul. I mean, we can't be overrun with this stuff, so if we get 100 bales down there, we're obviously gonna have to take a load down, whether
Yeah.
it's 30 cents or not.
yeah.
Well, it sounds like a win-win. The price of the truck, the money we're gonna save, so, I'm
You
gonna.
know
I'm
the
gonna-
history
where
of
does the
truck?
money come from?
Yes, the history of the truck was it was used down the Cape on a cranberry farm. They just used it on the property.
They used it to transfer the cranberries from the
Cranberries
bog to
into
the
the
press.
processing. That was it,
That was it.
and it was used for 1 year. When this guy bought it, he sold it for 40,000. It was used by a landscaper, and I don't know what happened, they sold it back to him. This is why he was upset, because they didn't take care of it the way he did.
Yeah.
You know, as far as he had armor all and, you know, but for the most part, it really hasn't seen winters.
Well, that was
Which
my
makes
concern.
it
It
look
just
that
didn't
good.
live at the salt.
The underneath of the truck, I mean, you can tell if a truck's been, the underneath of the truck is all still black paint.
Yeah.
He repacked the pistons.
Yeah.
Where do we get the money?
It's a capital reserve.
It's two
fund.
so there's $6,703.44 in the transfer station heavy equipment. So we'll take 6,600 out of there and leave 103. We have to leave a little bit in case there's a loss in
Yeah.
those accounts because those are trustee accounts. And then there's also $10,380.84 in the transfer station facility account. We'll take 10,000 out of there. So 16,600 will come from these two capital reserve funds, and then $1,900 will have to come from the operating budget for the transfer station. And the trustees of trust funds have already approved this. They met on Monday.
I thought it was coming to the recycling.
Well, that 10,000 had something, there was some sort of recycling verbiage in there, I believe.
Transfer
which is why-
station facility for
Recycle.
Recycling.
Yeah.
recycling and transfer
Yeah.
station.
No, I'm
That's
good
what
with
the
it.
transfer
I'm
All
good
right.
with it.
Okay, I'm gonna
So-
move the motion and
Need you
second.
guys to sign all these.
Yep. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Brock, good
Good
job. We're gonna jump ahead on the agenda here to the pond road agreement while Brock's here to talk about that. Have you been down there lately?
Yes.
Since the trees have been gone? Can you kinda give us an update on that, or?
I'm just waiting to hear what the actual easement's gonna end up being. I honestly don't think we should be plowing a driveway.
No.
I think where the end of the easement stops is where we should stop plowing. That being said, and my other concern is that, if there's a hole or something down there that we need to repair, I don't wanna have to wait 2 weeks to get an answer. I think we should be able to go in there and fix it as.
Maintain.
Maintain it as it needs to be maintained without having to wait a month to get an answer and, you know, it's not like we're going down there to put concrete barriers in, we'll be down there filling holes or
Yep.
something like that,
So can we write some kind of verbiage, cause they just have that we have to get written permission, can we write some kind of verbiage where, routine maintenance and safety issues will be addressed immediately and
Yeah,
the
that's,
trustees will be notified, and then for any extraordinary maintenance, we will,
which is not
solicit.
something that we're gonna do anyway, is anything above and beyond keeping it a good easement for us to turn around in.
You're not gonna be down
We're
there
not cutting trees and logging in there, we're
Yeah.
just,
No, you just.
all I'm
push the
talking
snow.
about is a pothole that got dug up or something
Yeah.
that we just need to put some gravel in or reshape it or something,
Yeah.
you know?
Yep.
So it's not,
Did the easement say no parking?
I
didn't
don't
see it.
believe it did.
It's in our packet, so.
No,
I do not remember no parking.
I don't believe
and
it.
that was just a concern that all of a sudden they don't have their pontoon boats there and stuff
Right.
like that, or
Right, yeah.
the whole neighborhood can.
Or when they're having a Christmas party or something
Yeah.
down there that I can't turn around because it's full of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Or
that's,
fishermen down
if
the
we start, if we
fishing, no.
stockpile snow in there as well, and then they are parking in there, then we'll run out of room a lot faster, and we'll have to pay to.
Right. And as far as
move it around.
fishing, we treat it like any of our turnarounds. If there's a car there, we ask them to move. If they don't move, we call the police and they move them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's, and out of respecting if the homeowners have their cars parked there, and we can, I mean, if we have to go up and ask them to move it, we go up and ask them to move it. It is,
But I think when you come down the hill and you swipe into it, you're not gonna leave a pile in front of it.
no,
But
because then you
there's
back up and push
You're
it
still,
in.
you're still gonna
Yeah.
have a little
Yeah.
pile come off the plow.
And if it adds, if once the snow piles up, we're gonna have to go down there maybe a couple times a year with the loader and push
Yeah.
it up and get it
Yeah.
out of the way to open it back up, so.
Scratch a tree. There's
Yeah,
the,
everybody
you kill
does.
the trees.
Everybody in town has a shovel of snowdrift, so I'm not.
Okay, so the language says grantee may make improvements to the easement area necessary or prudent to exercise its rights here under with the prior written consent of the grantor, which consent grantor shall not unreasonably withhold. So if we change that to say grantee will notify grantor when routine or maintenance or
Has
safety
occurred.
issues need to be addressed.
Right. I would put has occurred, that way it doesn't
Has
say
occurred.
that we have to do it prior to that. It means even when we're done, we'll just let them know that we did the work.
Yeah, and the problem is the grantor is a trust, so, you know, if the trustee is,
Right, it could take a month before you get an answer whether you can
Right.
fill a pothole, so.
Can I send you a picture to put on
there
there?
is a note, and so it goes on to say grantee must maintain any improvements
Because I
it
got
makes
the
within the
pictures
easement area in a neat and orderly manner consistent with the character of three
On my phone,
fifty-seven
but
Pond
it's not where
Road.
you know, pass it,
Grantee
but whatever.
may place
K. Paul.
a no parking sign in the easement area, and grantor assumes no responsibility for monitoring or enforcing such sign.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think she just wanted to put that down there for ice fishermen
Right.
camping out there.
And most of them, if they are parked there and you say something, but I'm not gonna have my guy traipsing out across the lake to go get an ice fisherman either.
No,
So-
no,
Get your waders on and head out there and see if he'll move his truck.
no. All right, I think that's appropriate to
So-
change that language.
How,
Okay, and then,
how do you think you're gonna notify the trust that you fixed a pothole?
And that's where
Is that
that's
a-
what I mean, it's,
Yeah,
We have a mailing address.
yeah, we
We'll,
have to get a letter of some sort.
when he,
or-
we'll
back
just
and-
do a form letter, and anytime he thinks he has to do it, he can fill in what he did, and I'll mail it off to the trustees.
And this is just in that easement area.
Yeah.
That's it.
So I don't think there's gonna
That's
be a whole
it.
lot.
I don't
of
think
changes.
it's-
So,
It's, but I just, like I said, I don't want me to go in and fix a pothole and say, well, you didn't call me, now we're gonna sue you for,
No, yeah,
and
we'll
you
put-
know what I mean? And
change
that probably
language.
won't happen, but
what?
again,
The
cover
language
your,
we were just talking about, as far as us having to call them. what you just talked about.
We're just gonna strike that out and add, we'll notify them after we've done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the plowing past the easement area, I think we get rid of this whole number, cause it says, in exercising its rights hereunder, the town shall, not may, shall plow past the driveway servicing 357 Pond Road such that the driveway is accessible from Pond Road. If we do that, that enters into the class 6. We do that for 5 years. Now we've made that class 5. I think we just strike that whole section. I think they know where they want to turn around. They know where the easement ends. That's what we go to. We don't open up anybody else's driveways. They go by your house, you got to open up the end of your driveway.
Yes.
I'm sorry that it works out that way, and it's probably a pain in the butt for her, but if we go beyond that driveway, then we're opening a legal can of worms with a class 5, class 6
You're gonna have
distinction.
to go a little bit beyond it anyway, just to turn around.
Well, when you come down the hill, what we're gonna do is come in,
and
turn
swipe
in,
around.
back up and push everything up in there.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not, but there's 20 feet between where her driveway goes up and where that easement opens up, so it's, I mean, you're gonna get the edge of it, but I just don't wanna be plowing her driveway and be responsible for her
No,
driveway,
we
that's
don't,
not,
no. We never did that before.
no.
And to be able to back up and turn around, I can tell you right now, right across the street from that driveway is a fence. That was my route, that was a tough turn, if you would that.
With a 10-wheeler,
That's a
when I'm
tough
plowing with a
turn.
10-wheeler.
I thought we were subbing all the dirt
Yeah.
roads out.
That's what I just said, we're not
We are,
plowing
but
her
that's why
driveway.
we're trying to iron this, we want this agreement
Yeah.
signed before snow
Because
flies
there'd be a
in the
lot smaller
contractor.
vehicle
Yeah,
there to
exactly, you'll be
turn.
able to make the turn.
That's good.
Yeah, okay.
So it's okay to strike number 3? All right, so I'll talk to the attorney tomorrow, he'll rewrite this, send it back to their attorney, hopefully they agree, and you can execute it at your next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, cause we gotta get in there and start working on it to get it ready for.
Well,
before.
you can gravel it now, right?
Not without this all being in play, right? I mean,
Well,
are
do you
we,
think it's a deal breaker? You're not gonna do it if they don't agree?
Well, we can't use the turnaround if they don't agree. We can only do the road and we'll have to back up the hill or whatever, or they'll have to turn around there somewhere.
Okay, all right,
I
I'll get
think
it to Rick.
I think it's a no-brainer. These, they're gonna get their road done, it's gonna be perfect and everything's gonna be good. So I
Yeah,
would
I
hope
can't-
that they would be
I don't
with
It'd
it.
probably be just as good or better than what they were getting.
Oh my
before.
goodness, yes.
Okay, I'll get it to Rick tomorrow
Yeah.
and I'll put it on the agenda for the 9th to be signed. And I'll tell them that, we really want to sign this by the 9th, so.
right,
Yep.
Does Rock have anything to do with the feedback signs? or anything?
Well, he's got to
I
place
want him
them,
to be
so
here
I
for that.
think he needs
Yeah.
to be here because he's met with them, he needs to place them. We're not taking any responsibility for
Yeah.
him, so he needs to be clear on, I gave him a copy of the letter,
Okay.
but
And
if
I'll
they
I'll
get
tell him where
damaged,
everything
they get
is.
Can you
damaged.
hang for about another
yeah,
5-10
no, you're
minutes?
all
here?
set. Go ahead.
All right, so I'm gonna go into,
I sent you
Before
an
you do
email.
that, do you want to close the public
well, that's,
hearing?
I'm gonna go into public comment and then we'll close it. So, unscheduled matter,
Okay.
public comment. Yes, Jim?
Yes.
Is this the public hearing for the highway safety grant?
It's been going on.
It was open.
It's open, yes.
It was opened and left open and running while we
And
went
I
on
was about ready
other
to
items.
close it if you wanna make a comment.
Oh, okay. I had some questions about it, so I didn't know, can the public have any information about what this money will be used to do?
Yeah, I can tell you that.
And I'll tell you specifically,
There are no
Okay.
sobriety checkpoints.
there is no sobriety
They're not doing
checkpoint.
those anymore. There is a
Okay.
sobriety, there's a drive sober or get pulled over, which means they just put somebody out there on overtime and charge it to the grant, but it is not a sobriety checkpoint. It's just a regular patrol. So there's, a join the New Hampshire Click Enforcement Patrol, so, it was called Click It and Ticket, where they're checking for seatbelt use. There's a drive sober or get pulled over. There's a you drive, you text, you pay, so they're watching for texting. I think that's it.
But it's not a stopping,
It's not the old sobriety checkpoints, they're not doing those anymore. It's just one patrol that they'll go out and charge to the grant, where they'll be looking for erratic driving and,
okay.
So maybe you can answer this, maybe the chief would. I was just curious if we won't be pulling people, innocent people over who are not under any suspicion.
No, you can't.
No,
They-
that's not how I
Well,
take
They
it.
the
have-
sobriety checkpoints kind of do.
And I
that.
just said 3 times, this is not a sobriety checkpoint. No more of those. These 2 mobilizations will focus on the apprehension of the impaired driver. Locations for patrol should be where the greatest likelihood of finding an impaired driver exists. At least 1 4-hour DUI enforcement effort must be conducted during each campaign period. And then they give from December 13th to January 1st and August 21st to September 7th. So it's basically a regular patrol, and the areas they're gonna be patrolling are probably places where they've experienced DUIs and DWIs in the past. It is not a roadblock, it is not a DWI checkpoint. They're not doing those anymore. It's just it's the same as the click it and ticket and the you drive, you pay, you tax. It's just they're going to be watching for specialized things during those patrols.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. I have one other issue that is on the agenda here, and you haven't discussed it, so I don't know, but I'll just kind of ask this question, maybe you can answer it later. Is under new business, letter E is equipment for new cruiser. And I thought that when we do warrant articles for cruisers, that the equipment for the cruiser was included in the warrant article, so that's a question I have, and maybe you don't have that answer right now, maybe in the discussion I'll learn more about that. But I don't know why it's separate from the
I can address that now,
cruiser.
or
Yeah.
we can address it later.
Let's
you can
address it later, because I'd like
Okay.
to
Okay.
move the public. Anybody else have any public comment on anything we've talked about, or the public hearing? If not, I'm gonna close the public hearing for the highway safety grant. And we're gonna move on to, next thing, we're gonna jump ahead again and go to the driver feedback sign. Charlie has talked with Bill Lambert, and we got some correspondence back to him, so Charlie, I'm gonna turn this over to you again.
Okay. The chief, myself, and Bill Lambert, which is, I'm not quite sure what his position is, but he's high in the DOT thing. We went up there and we asked him for his input on where to locate the feedback sign. And did you get the thing?
I'm trying to find
Yeah.
it.
I just sent Ken the pictures that I took tonight, just so that we could explain where they exactly are going. One sign coming from 16 will be located at a telephone pole at a at the entrance of the first big white farmhouse that is vacant at this moment. Nobody lives there. He thought that when you come around the corner, you would want to have some indication to slow the people down before they get to
The congestion.
Mrs. Wiggins and then the inn, the church, and so on and so on. He said that we'd put the pole there. We don't put the feedback sign on first. He will bring the speed limit sign up to where it should be, because the speed limit sign now is down by the tracks. Does nothing for anybody. It doesn't. It's really non-usable at that point. So he'd like to bring that up. Then we put the sign above that or below it. He indicated at 5.6 feet or something like that, which is that telephone pole right there, which is clearly away from the residents, so they can't see the lights at all. They're back to it, so there would be no input, no light problems for any of the residents standing there. The other sign would be coming from, we thought that it would be best to have it after you come off Province Lake Road, because that seems to be the most speed up spot. And so coming in front of, where'd you go, Kenneth? Did you get the other picture to it?
It's downloading.
Mrs. Nancy Spencer Smith has a crosswalk sign in front of her fence. That sign is going to be removed by the state because it's not doing anything anymore. And he wanted to put it there. I suggested to him that if we could move it a little further towards Route 16, just in front of the telephone pole that's in front of Nancy's fence that she wouldn't have to look at the light in her living room window. And it would be blinded to her, and it would be blinded to most people
So
other
that's
than
what
the
you're
library.
making- You're making the sweep there. that's your
Correct,
house.
and right after you pass her house,
Yeah.
there's a yellow sign there now that shows the crosswalk, which that would be taken down by the state, because it does, they said it's not usable. And we put one up, and I suggested just to move up a few more feet so that the people in the neighborhood wouldn't have to deal with it. It would be closer to the real estate office, across from the real estate office and the library. He thought that would be a great thing. He did ask that if maybe we might ask Mrs. Smith, Nancy, that if she's got some bushes that really hang out into the crosswalk or into the walking side, that it might be feasible for us to see if she'd let us trim a couple of them just to push them back a little bit to give you that view. So when the cars come around that corner, they would see that instantly instead of having a bush maybe or whatever. And I thought that she was part of this. I thought that would be a great thing as long as I pushed it a little bit forward so that she didn't have it blinking in her window. That was all acceptable by the state. He thought that was great. I put that down into his letter. And I believe that it would be a great asset to that community. And like I said, if it doesn't work and we can't, it's nothing that says you can't take it out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We bought them, I mean, we didn't buy them, it was bought by the church, and they were delivered,
3 years ago.
yeah. So let's put them up, try it. If it doesn't work, take them down. You know.
And that's it, and he said the same thing, but he would like to put his speed limit signs on them because that works. They would take that other sign away from the other end and it would put the other one there and it would justify why it's blinking.
I
Because
do
you're
know the
speeding.
chief has been putting extra attention to that road and.
And he's made a lot of stops.
Yeah, he's made a
I've
lot of
heard.
tickets, so
Yep.
maybe the signs and a little bit more of the police activity there, that people will get the hint, we can take them down.
Can I ask a question?
Yep,
Yeah.
What kind of liability do we have in maintaining the signs? I don't have a dog in the fight.
there is
We
none.
don't.
We don't have to maintain them at
There's no
all.
maintenance or anything?
No,
Nope.
the state, this was all part of what we went through for the last 3 years in talking about this. This started way before you came here,
Right.
and before me. Peter Brown, who's since deceased, was
Okay.
hit by a car in front of the church.
Yep.
And he came to the Board of Selectmen 3 years ago, and 2.5 years ago, and asked that we give permission to do a study. And so it started, the state wouldn't have even allowed this without this study. And so the study got done first, and they identified the problem. The state has said these signs have worked in other places, and they wanted us to sign a maintenance and a liability agreement.
The state
And-
did?
Yes, because once you put these up, then somebody has to maintain them. And we
Right.
told the church right out, the previous board, that we would not take the maintenance
Well,
or the
that's the only
liability.
thing that I'm getting at. If
There is no maintenance, there's a
It is
battery
not-
change.
Right, I don't have a
So-
problem with it, and I don't. I just asking a couple of
No,
questions.
there's a
just like
battery
that.
change and it lasts for 5
So-
years, did he say?
So the last paragraph of the agreement with DOT says, "It is understood that the town of Wakefield is not interested in entering a maintenance agreement. However, it is also understood that should any maintenance of the combined assembly be required, DOT would remove, not replace, the driver feedback sign." So
Oh, okay, that's what I'm.
then
Now,
it'll go away.
why does DOT want nothing to do with putting these signs up?
Because they don't have anything to do with any of them. They
Because
don't have
every
the
community that
resources.
ha-
Okay,
Yeah,
that was my question. That was it.
They don't have the resources to
It just
continue.
it struck me odd as being a state road
Yep.
with something in there right away that they don't want anything to do with.
Yeah.
No, and that's why
encourage them.
towns don't want them either, because we don't want to make, if every neighborhood wanted these in it, it would be $7,000.
Right,
for
it's
every-
expensive, and the
And to
maintenance of
maintain
them
them.
over the years is probably expensive, so somebody's
This
gotta keep
this is
them.
a specialized situation where we've tried other things, people have gotten hurt, and plus, in addition to this, in the interim, we've added a nursery school there. That nursery school wasn't
Right.
even there when Peter
So
Brown.
look, it's just a
did it.
protection thing for the people
Correct.
coming in and out
And,
there.
and he said that the unlikeliness, if, we were worried about a plow, they don't hit those, they hit the reflectors if anything, right? So that's unlikely. If it does, It doesn't
It
get
is what it
fixed,
is.
it comes up.
Okay.
There's no fixing. The batteries are a 5-year or something like that, 7-year plan. So the most that we might do, or whoever, would change a battery.
Yeah, no, that's,
But
You
all
got
in all,
vandalism, car accidents, a lot of
Exactly,
reasons.
that comes out.
I just don't want us to be liable for something.
No,
we don't.
they said it
We're
would
just
come
gonna
out.
put the bulb in.
Perfect.
Yeah, we
That's-
put the poles.
Which isn't a big deal, that's not a big deal, we can take care of that, no problem.
And they said if it didn't work or it's vandalism,
Pull
you
them
take
out.
them out
Yeah.
and they'll leave the speed limit sign there. So
It's
no
better-
matter what, it's gonna have a speed limit sign there whether we
Right.
want it or not.
Well, you're better off being safe there anyway, you got,
I
like I
agree.
said, you got kids up there, you got a church there, I guess, so.
So that's about the size of it, and I did call John, and John had looked up and has been talking to you about the size of the
Yep.
pole, because there's a certain size that
Right.
thing fits. And we do have a regulation on height,
Right, and then we'll get together and we'll figure all that out, and we'll put it in where
Yeah.
it needs to be.
but it's clearly off the road, off the state road, and it's in visible sight. And- But it's only from one direction, and it shouldn't blink in anybody's thing, so.
Okay, all right, so we're all set on that.
Yeah, I'm good.
Uh, Buddy, I see you stirring the back.
Yeah,
You
just a
got
couple of
one call?
questions. One, the church had talked about, where the units have been sitting for so long, the batteries may be in question, because they're good in 2 years. We decided, the church, we'll get them operational,
Okay.
whatever it costs to get them operational for the town, even though they've been sitting so darn long.
I believe there's a bunch of extra batteries that have been purchased, so he should have plenty to get you for 5 or 10 years anyway.
Right, and they're solar powered,
Yeah,
that's the whole thing.
Okay,
The other question, and it's a question I'd like answered, is the town gonna go forward on them, and are they gonna accept it as town property?
no, we're not on
No.
that.
Well, who is going to accept those units?
Well, it was to my understanding, and I came into this midway, is that the church was going to put them on their insurance policy.
That was a condition. That was actually the vote, and that was the condition over a year ago. It's in, I believe it's in the minutes of the meeting. I can pull those and provide them to you.
Yeah, we checked with our insurance company, and the distance was gonna be too much.
And we told the church that we would not put them up if we had to own them or take any liability for them. That was the original condition.
Right.
Wasn't
but the
it
state
1,000
says that
feet or
there's no
something?
liability to them.
Liability,
Yeah.
what liability?
Yeah, the state said that there's no liability to them. They're just like a speed limit sign. You're not gonna,
I mean, if they get knocked down.
which
But
we
we're
just
not
throw
going to
away,
maintain 'em.
which we
They're
throw
gonna go
away.
away.
You gotta look at replacing.
So we're not owning them.
Yeah, which if they fall
We're not
down, we're
insuring
saying
them.
that they either get thrown away or you guys replace them and put them up. But the understanding of that is very rare.
Right. I think you gotta understand where the church is coming from on this. We've resourced the money, bought the units for the idea to make it safe in the village, for everybody there, correct?
Which we're all in
And we
agreement.
all know it's a speeding problem. So now we're at the point, 3 years after they were purchased, studied, researched, everything else. We're now at the point, the church would like to just say, go to it. The state has approved where they want to put them, and we'd like to back away from it.
Well, at this point, the church is not telling us to do anything. We're
No.
willing to put them up.
Right.
And what I'm saying is, if they are damaged in any way whatsoever, the town is not going to buy a new one,
Okay.
okay? But if it's sitting there and as long as it's working and it's fine, we're not maintaining it. It's a battery change. It's no big deal, it's like you said. That's fine, but we're not taking responsibility if the plow hits it, the state, or if somebody walks into it and bangs their head on it. I mean, the state tells me that this is no different than a speed limit sign as in liability. You can walk in it, hit it, you're not responsible for that person hitting it. It'd be like me running into a telephone pole. I have to buy the telephone pole.
Right.
Nobody sues me, I can't sue Eversource for putting the telephone pole in the wrong spot, you know what I'm saying? These are all set back at the regulations of a state so that they have wingspan for placement of snow. But again, just like she said, if there's damage or it doesn't work or if nobody's happy, I'm even the state said that if we find that it's not really in the right spot, they don't have a problem us moving forward a little bit or whatever direction to make it work for you. But we're not fixing it if it breaks. That's what we're trying to say. And we're not asking you to either. If it doesn't work, we throw them away or you give them back to Alden Young, you know, whoever bought them. And I guess, and that's because the state doesn't take responsibility for these either. Even though we see them on state roads, they don't have responsibility. They don't have the resources to conduct that. They're put there by municipalities. So it's just something that is pretty much exempt.
So to recap, the church would still own those.
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
So if the church, you know, let's say hypothetically, something happened to the sign and the church did want to replace them, we could put them back up.
Yeah, we don't have a problem putting them up. I mean, it's just a bolt. You know, it's just, we just don't want them, if they were pushed over, fell, something, and they broke, it's not our problem. It's,
I
they
think
want the
really-
right thing, by all means. We're all on the same page, but it's the legality parts that scare everybody. And so be it. Let's put it up and see what happens. And leave it alone. And hopefully it
Slow
works.
people down, yeah.
Hopefully it works. And we did our diligence to make sure that it wouldn't affect anybody's line of sight.
Yeah.
Or in their bedrooms or house or whatever.
Okay. All right, so we're all set with that?
Yep.
Brock, you're all set?
Thank you guys.
Thank you, bro.
Thanks for coming out. Joe, thank you for your comments too.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
I gotta go back to the highway grant there and entertain a motion for me to sign.
So made?
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
You could date it, just sign up and then you throw it.
As long as it's not what we may thought it was, right?
All right, so I'm signature one. Here.
Bert just read your name.
Oh. Here. Oh, I'm sorry.
Did you see the picture for where the second one is? I
Yeah.
didn't see it up there. But there's that sign.
Yeah.
And it
that
would
one's
be
really
blinking,
close.
so we just put it like right there, but these bushes should be trimmed a little bit. And I think she would go for
How
that.
come the state doesn't trim them if they're in their right of way? Don't they chop them?
Well, it'd be,
Crap out of them when it's in their right
they
of way?
probably could, but they're just hanging over a fence. And if she wants me, I would think she would want me to move it a little forward. And I mentioned that, and he didn't have a problem. He just thought it would be up to her if she would just maybe trim a couple of bushes, and it would be absolutely nothing. But I have yet to see her, so I wanted to ask her myself.
Either way.
Everything on that whole side, if they move those fences 5 feet into the property, they could have a better parking on the side of the road to open
Exactly.
the door.
But you got that water trough that would
Yeah, but I mean, even past the church and that whole area, you could,
Take care of the
move them
fences.
fences.
They can't read my thinking as well as my signature.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. We got the unfinished business of the comprehensive public rights of way ordinance. Did you get any more information?
I did, I actually printed the handout they did a presentation to NHMA and both Bar Association, I guess. So basically, the issue is that we're not a home rule state, so we can't regulate anything that we don't have the authority to regulate. There has to be an action taken to give you the authority to regulate it. And with the change, so there's a statute that regulates you having the right to set right-of-ways and tax them for conduits for like the electric company. But with wireless, they're trying to err on the side of there being an allowance for cell phone towers and wireless communications, but it doesn't fall under that public right-of-way law. So basically, if the town doesn't write an ordinance or adopt a regulation, and it's also exempt from zoning and planning laws, wireless facilities and antenna can be attached to existing structures and poles without a substantial modification, and allows only safety code review by the municipality, and you only have 45 days to approve or deny an application, or the application is deemed granted. So there's very short windows on these things. And that's why towns are banding together to write an ordinance that then the town can adopt. And you can still allow them, it's not to disallow them, it's basically to put you in the process so that they have to bring an application to you and you get to say yay or nay. This is becoming a bigger issue with the carriers wanting to do 5G in places and it being competitive. So maybe more than one wireless company will come to you and say, we want to do 5G and we're going to put it here and here. And pretty soon your town has got it everywhere and you can't say no because you only have 45 days and your planning board isn't ready to address it. And so basically, to avoid problems with small cell applications and applications for antenna, a comprehensive right-of-way ordinance or a well-developed protocol makes sense. If we don't have it, we would need to compare carefully our existing protocol and codes for permitting use of public right-of-ways by other telephone companies. So we want to make sure we're not discriminating against the small. And basically, DTC is guaranteeing it will be $1,000 or less for the municipalities that get on the ground floor of this. If we decide to wait and get in after they've already started it, then they're gonna charge everybody a flat fee of $1,000. It might be less than that if we get on the ground floor. I think we should I think we should consider getting in on the ground floor on this because we're a small town and why pay Rick to do all the research that DTC has already done. We'd get bang for the buck with going with a bunch of other small towns. And again, our planning board wouldn't have to say no, but it would get before them and then they can regulate it and just know about it. And we wouldn't run afoul of the 90-day rule, the 60-day rule, the 45-day rule. It would be in a new ordinance. So I don't feel strongly about it, but I think we ought to get on the ground floor of it. I think doing this together with other municipalities saves us money at the end of the day, and it gives our planning board and zoning board a tool.
How many other municipalities are involved in this right now?
I think they said,
I'm trying to find that in the letter that I have.
I don't know what they said. I just got this letter today. So a number of DTC's general and special counsel municipal clients have expressed an interest in working with us collectively so that the cost of developing a template ordinance would be shared among the group. We propose to set up a split bill arrangement as we have done on utility tax appeals and other matters. Under this arrangement, we would divide the cost for developing a template ordinance equally among all clients participating in the great. We would bill each client separately for work done that specifically municipality to customize the template to the client's needs. It doesn't say how many are signed on yet.
Yeah, because they're talking,
But it does say early on that the cost would be $1,000 or less.
but what they're saying in that paragraph is that they're gonna charge us for customizing it for like our town at these rates here.
Yeah, but I think once we get the template, there isn't gonna be a lot of customization needed. And frankly, I think that Rick could handle. You know, Rick does that work for the planning board when they wanna change an
Right.
ordinance. He reviews all the warrant articles for that stuff.
Right. How you guys feel about this?
I mean, I can send you this too if you'd like to look at it offline. If you wanna take it under advisement for now. I did pull this.
When are they expecting a response from us?
They wanted a response by, I think, in the first letter, I think it was like September 25th.
Right, yeah, I remember that now.
But
Which is today.
I reached out to them and they just sent this to me
What do you
today,
It was September
I don't
14th.
care.
14th,
Yeah.
yeah, in the first letter.
I don't
But-
really understand the whole thing as much anyway, so. I mean, it sounds like if everybody's jumping on board over that, I mean, like she said, it's definitely gonna help us in the long run, and if it gives a couple of tools for the planning board, that's one thing. I'm not much of a couple of them big organizations, regional planning and all that stuff, but sounds like she's got it under control.
I think the thing that, when I looked at traditional procedures for regulating the rights of way under RSA 231:159 are no longer sufficient. Furthermore, planning and zoning laws and procedures no longer apply to certain wireless deployments. That scares me.
Yeah.
Because if 5G becomes the next big thing and you know, we are in the 16 corridor. I don't wanna be our small town to be overwhelmed by cell phone carriers that all of a sudden, oh, they don't have any regulation. We can't put it in Milton, or we can't put it in Middleton, or we can't put it in
But
Aspen
we
because
can
they've
put it
got
in
a
Wakefield.
regulation. But look at Wakefield, never adopted anything. Let's put them there.
Yeah, that's good thinking.
I think if you're not, and again, like I said, I wouldn't expect the template to,
Well,
disallow them,
this is
but
just
it
the
would-
beginning phases too, right?
Yeah,
There's no charge to say that we'll, you know, until they have some,
So so I didn't catch that. I mean, there's fees for us to join?
well, yeah, they'll,
Up to
for them to draft like
Oh, okay.
a template.
So that we all have
That'll
a
be
base
split.
model
And
to
then
follow.
Then if you wanna customize, then there's additional fees for that, but what Kelly's saying is that Rick could probably handle the customization, but for them to draft up a template that could, you know, like a boilerplate for all towns, and then you can customize it for your town.
Okay.
yeah, I mean, we would need to sign a fee agreement with them
Okay.
to get in on the ground floor or not. I mean, we can't wait. I think what's gonna happen is if we wait until the end, like some of the other towns are gonna do, then it's gonna be, if you want it, it's $1,000. It might be less than 1,000 if we sign up now, and if we're interested, why wait?
Where do we pull this from, our legal line, or?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yep.
All right, any more discussion? or-
No, I'm good with it.
You good with it?
Me too.
All right, can I get a motion to allow Kelly to enter an agreement with you?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Second, for any more discussion?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next on the unfinished business, the disposal of a Crown Vic. We weren't able to sell it this summer. I had a couple thoughts. I don't know if you give it to, you know, the Wakefield garage and tell them to sell it and give them a certain percentage if they get it, or
I think the problem is it's not drivable. We have to have somebody tow it somewhere.
it's not drivable at all?
No. Brock said it's not drivable. Like I said, let's give it to the blind, or, you know, there's those groups that'll,
Yeah.
you can give a car
Well,
to
cars
and then
for
fix
kids.
it up, but he
They do
said
that all
those
the
have
time.
to be drivable. It
So
needs to
just
be
call
towed.
the junkyard and they'll come get it for nothing. I mean, if it's that point, just call,
Yeah,
Man.
probably a junkyard, not.
to call, what's the one in Limerick?
Oh, used to be global.
Yeah, it's, I can't remember what it is, but they come out for nothing. And, they'll take it if that's the case. If we're just gonna give it away and it has to be towed, you might as well just call the
I can't
company.
believe it's not drivable though. I mean, you can't get in it, start it up and drive it.
No, it was supposed to be Brock's take-home car, and the first night he tried to drive it home, it died.
Okay, so
That
it's
was
not,
in his-
it's not, doesn't
That was
have
in his
four,
unemployment
it doesn't have
agreement.
four flat tires and no brakes and.
The engine's shot.
If we can't sell it, give it away. Take it, I'm sure we could get a donation.
Are you okay with Brock
Well,
giving it to the first place that'll come and get it and give us
Whatever.
$50 in scrap metal, whatever?
Lambert's had to sign $200.
Yeah, Lambert's would be another one.
And then put it in the metal dumpster at the
Yeah.
dump
Yeah.
and drive it right
Yeah,
off.
try to put it right in the dumpster. Yeah, add the weight to the iron that we got.
All right,
Yeah.
whatever's feasible.
Okay.
Yeah, it ain't worth trying.
Yeah, let's just get rid of it.
Let's
We
just
don't need
get
a
rid of
boneyard down there.
Nope.
Okay, all right, jumping into new business. We got the internet service maintenance contract.
So this is our annual maintenance agreement for the GIS, and there's no change in the cost for it, so.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to accept.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And we've got the cleaning contract, we're gonna rebid that
Yes,
because the
so we put it out
description.
to bid, and then I met with the contractor, and I had some bad information for the PD building.
Mhm.
We really need it cleaned more than we had been getting it cleaned, so in an effort to be fair, because somebody had already submitted their bid, I don't wanna go with her bid and then the current guy has a better idea, so I just wanna rebid it,
Do it.
re-advertise it, and put it out with the new information and bring it to you
Okay,
in a couple weeks.
all right.
So I guess basically you have to vote to, you have to vote to reject the bid we got and rebid it.
I'll make a motion to reject the bid we have and rebid it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, next on the new business, we need to put out for a building inspector, co-health officer position. Deputy.
Yeah, she has a little
And
writing
I
there, which
pretty
is
much
good.
used the same ad we put out last time. What I left blank was the number of hours per week.
Right.
So I need you guys to give me some kind of direction. I mean, we can also say up to 32 hours, you know, we
That's what I
can.
was gonna say, up to.
What we don't wanna get to is if we get to 35, then.
Yeah, no,
there's
we wanna stay
health
pro-time.
insurance, and so if it's gonna be a part-time job, you gotta
15
keep
to
it around
32.
32. You know, what you might wanna do is hours are flexible
Yeah.
from, like you said,
15
15
to
to
32,
32, cause
yep.
then in the summer they can work 32, if it's slower, they can work,
15 when Victor needs them.
you wanna do that?
Yeah, put it out there.
And are you okay waiving your policy requirement to advertise it in-house for 10 days?
Yeah, I
I'd
don't
like
think
to get it-
anybody has the
Well, somebody might
qualifications.
have the credentials, I'm not aware of anybody, but, we can take inside candidates while we're advertising
Sure.
outside, but it would,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know, the earliest we could get it in would be next Thursday, right? So it's already a week, so I'd like to not wait 2.
no, let's get it out there.
Okay.
Yep.
Great.
All right. All right, review the signed fee agreement.
So I think you got served.
Yeah, I did.
So just to recap historically, 2 years ago, no, actually, a year ago, in 2018, we contracted with Sanssouci to do our utility billing. By doing that and not using the DRA numbers anymore, we picked up $8.5 million in assessed value in utilities. We've since abated some of that number down based on their requests that they weren't happy. But we still picked up $5.5 million. Now they are appealing their abatement because they were denied, and they can either appeal through the Board of Tax and Land Appeals, BTLA, or Superior Court. They have chosen to appeal at Superior Court. I spoke to the same company that we're looking at doing this
DTC.
ordinance with, DTC, and they represent 69 towns right now for 2014 through 2017. And 69 of those towns have gotten 2018s as well. We would be the 70th town. I'm not aware of how many towns only have gotten the 2018, because if they were already with Sanssouci, then they were in the 2014 to 17. They have a big mediation with Eversource Saturday and Sunday at NHMA all day. Obviously, they can't bind the town, so they're going to mediate with Eversource's lawyers and DTC, and then they're going to bring it back to the towns. There's a very good possibility that they will include 2018 in that settlement, because they're already doing 2014 to 17, and those 69 towns have also gotten the 18. So we could get in on that if we sign an agreement with them, a fee agreement, to be part of this litigation for the 2018. Now, obviously, we aren't going to pay anything for the 2014 to 17 because we're not in that litigation. But going forward, it's very likely that they will include 18, and unfortunately, if we don't get in on it, then we'd be out here on our own, and they might get a good deal, and we would not necessarily be privy to that deal.
I guess, you know, the one I got, yeah, I thought it was about their property over here on, in the Cosmo.
Yeah, it's the property, it's the conduits, it's the right-of-ways, all they're appealing their abatement, their assessment on
I
everything.
thought they were appealing our assessment of the actual building too.
That as well, that is all part of the assessment. They're appealing their entire assessed value in this town, and that's what DTC does. There's another one that So Avatar also assesses utilities, and there's another lawyer doing 48 towns. So those two lawyers, the one representing the 48 towns that are assessed by Avatar, and the 69 towns assessed by Sans Souci, those two lawyers are going to meet with Eversource's lawyer and a mediator and they're gonna meet from 9:30 to 4 on Saturday. If they can't come to agreement, they're going back 9:30 to 5 on Sunday. And they have offered us a seat at that table so that we can watch it, but frankly, I trust them because they've represented these 69 and 48 towns
Yeah,
for a heck of a lot longer than us. And obviously, they've got more to lose than just the 2018 assessment. And usually what they do, because I was in on one of these with Walter Mitchell, who did Avatar in Greenville, because Greenville had Avatar do theirs. And what happened was we were settling like 2006 to 2008. And what there is a sliding scale. Like each year, they have the assessment go down 3% more. And so it went so long that they added on 10 and 11 on that same sliding scale, and then you settled it, and then you didn't get sued by them for a couple more years. And I think my bills were like $48 a month, because there were so many towns involved
Yeah.
that the legal fee really wasn't that bad.
All right, so you're looking for authorization to,
I'm looking for I'm looking for the board to vote to authorize us to enter a fee agreement with DTC to represent us in the public service case. There will also be a cost for Sans Souci to be the expert witness. That's gonna be the cost.
Yeah.
But even so, we picked up $8.5 million in assessed value. That's $35,000 in taxes. So it would have to be a pretty bad settlement for us to lose in this case.
all right, how you guys feel about that?
I'm
All
good
set?
with it, yeah.
All right,
I'll make that motion.
Second?
all those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you tell them that my address is 2 High Street, not my house? To serve
When you
me.
see the cruiser pull in.
Yeah,
I don't even
all
know
my
how-
neighbors go, they
Yeah.
call
I
me
don't
up.
even know how they got that,
There's a
because-
sheriff's in your driveway.
I don't even know how they got that, because honestly,
They
the sheriff,
scratched out 2 High Street and then they put down my address.
well, the sheriff delivered that to Val, and Charlie was sitting in my office, so Charlie could have signed for it if Val told us.
Yeah.
As a selectman, he could have signed for the other copy. Val just didn't say the sheriff had just delivered it.
Okay, next on new business, equipment for the new cruiser. Why was the quote not on?
So what happened was Ford ran out of 2019s. The quote that we got was for a 2019, and they ran out of the body style in 19. And apparently this is a big deal for all police departments, because this is why we're waiting so long to get this cruiser too. Usually you earmark it in December that you're going to want one, and then when the passes in April, you actually order it and you get it in June or July. Well, they ran out of the 19 body style, and not only is the body style more, but the equipment to equip it is more as well. And they just basically refused to honor the 2019 because it's not a 19, it's a 20, and they're passing that cost. And it's kind of been a deal, because police departments all over are scrambling. And
Yeah, it's
with
not just us, it's many police departments that are
anybody
going
who
through
didn't
this.
get one of the 19s
Yeah.
is really being forced to pay. And if
But
you
it
want
looks to
we
me,
get-
looks to me like when I read it, he said that he had 38,
39,
39, and he's only asking for 4. So we're only talking $100 difference?
No.
I didn't
No,
get
no.
that.
No,
That's-
he's over 3912. He's asking you to earmark 4,000 in case it's $80 more.
Oh, okay.
And what I would say about the Warren article is generally, when he approached me about this, I heard about this while I was out last Friday, and I didn't have the Warren article in front of me. And I would say that a Warren article is a Warren article is a Warren article. You can't spend one dime more, so make sure your Warren article is accurate. But when I actually looked it up, the Warren article is just to add it to the police cruiser capital reserve fund. It isn't to purchase it. So we're not running afoul. We only put $45,000 in the capital reserve fund. We're just going to be $4,000 short to equip it. So he is asking to take that out of the detail fund, and this is in perfect alignment with what the detail, that has to be used for police purposes.
So it's not asking for any
How
more,
mu- how
he's
much
taking it out of a
over?
different
That's-
fund.
That's the thing I wanted to, how much over is this equipment they want?
I'm
originally?
assuming it is $3,912, so the cost of the vehicle is $48,912.
Okay, so in reference to Mr. Miller's question, the warrant article, is the cruiser equipped when we,
No, I'll read you the warrant article. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $45,000 to be added to the police cruiser capital reserve fund previously established.
Yes, just to put
It
the
doesn't
money in
say
there to buy
anything
one.
about buying it. We buy it out of that capital reserve fund each year because you're the agents to
And
expend.
like he said, everything was working the way it is. They just ran out of the 19,
Oh, I
there's so
understand,
many,
I
so
understand
now we
that,
have to
but-
figure out how to equip it for what the cost of it's gone up because we have no control of inflation.
no, I'm just trying to clarify Mr. Miller's question. He's saying like when that warrant
Correct.
article goes in there, do we figure the cost of the equipment when we put that
Usually.
figure?
Yes,
I believe
we
he
have a
does.
quote,
Yeah.
and we have a
Yep.
written quote.
Yep,
It's just that there are no.
you can't get
vehicles that
something
meet
if there
that
ain't
quote.
there. We can't buy it if
And
it's not there.
I would say this would be another animal. If that warrant article was written to buy a cruiser for $45,000 fully equipped, then I would say
We can't.
that's what you can have and not
Make
a
it-
dime
make it
more,
work.
no matter where you get it from.
Yeah.
But that isn't how the warrant article is written, so
Okay.
I don't think we'll run afoul.
Now,
we're not running afoul of this.
I'm sure he has, but I would, if I was to say, if he says to me that, if he said it to me this minute, I'd say, well, we buy one from you every year. You can't absorb this, as a thing, but I believe he has done that and they can absorb it because there is not a car for it. So we have to go to the 20 instead of the 19, is how.
Well,
I'm
and I
looking
think
at it.
there's so many of them that they can't.
And that's what he said, and the other thing is that we're not the only, there's dozens of police stations that are scrambling right now for the same reason, and they can't
Yeah,
do
because if
anything
you
about it.
wort that warrant article, you can't buy your cruiser, because you
They're
can't get one for
scrambling
that.
to find the extra just to do the, and it's not asking for any more, it's just the cost of it went up during the time that it's gone. So it's not any more, it's just the cost. So,
So I would ask you to authorize him to use the money from the detail fund and to authorize me to sign the purchase order, because I don't wanna run afoul of our purchase, because our purchasing plan says that you can't separate out expenses to stay, like, this is an amount I can sign, cause it's under $5,000.
Right.
But it's in addition to the 45,000,
Mhm.
so I just wanna make sure that, it's
So
It's
you're gonna
out
have
there.
2 purchase orders. right?
you already signed the first one.
and this money is in a fund already, right?
In the
Into
detail
detail
fund,
fund
yeah.
that
Yeah,
they've
it's in
earned,
the budget.
it's
Yeah.
in the budget.
Well, it's actually in the detail fund, which comes from
Right.
all the details that the officers work. There's money to pay their salaries out of that and the labor costs for insurances and stuff. And there's also a cruiser piece in there. And that detail money can only be used for police purposes, and this is clearly a police purpose, so.
No, I'm good.
Me too, I'm good with it.
All right, need a motion?
Yep, make the motion to accept John's proposal to add the fund out of the detail unit.
And allow the town administrator.
And then
to sign
allow the
it.
town administrator to sign
Purchase order.
the purchase order.
Second.
All's in favor? Aye.
All right.
Okay, moving on. Charter Communications.
We've got proposed capital reserve fund
Oh, I'm sorry.
expenditure.
Yep.
You've got one last highway road project.
Need a motion to expend out of the capital reserve $15,225.60.
I will make that motion, and this is for the 507.52 tons of shoulder gravel on our new roads.
Correct. All right, entertain a motion.
Charlie just did it, and I'll second it.
All right, all's in favor?
Aye,
How's it look up there?
looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, looks good. I'd say they're doing more damage to the state road than after they just did it,
Yeah.
because all them skidders and everything up there doing all that wire cutting, you know, the trees off the thing. I would have thought they would have planned that a little better. But
Did they pave for 153?
paved the whole thing and they're
Oh,
driving
yeah.
on it and they
Oh.
did the
I
shoulders and
thought they were
everything.
doing that first. and then-
No, they did it, and the shoulders are all done, and now they're driving and putting leaves all over it and trees and, I mean,
Okay.
they're not killing it by all means, but they're, you know, I would have thought that would have been planned a little better.
All right, got 2 letters from Charter Communications about the upcoming changes.
I say no on everything about it.
What do we got here? We got, I love how they always put formerly known as Spectrum.
They're taking away channels again,
Yeah.
so eventually everybody's gonna be without cable, so I won't feel so bad.
Pretty funny
Fox
because they
is-
take away and then they charge more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what it
Fox
is.
College Sports will cease transmission on the SPP tier 2 in Sports Pass in the channel lineup serving your community. And then we got another one from them. ESPN Classic located on the SPP tier 2 and Sports Pass will be no longer available. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
All right. We did get a butters notice from Fog Design about shoreline permit application. It's under advisement. And we're into unscheduled matters, public comment number 2. Do we have any comments? All right. Town Administrator's update.
So I would like you to think about, and we can review and discuss it tonight and vote some other time, or you can review and discuss it and vote tonight. We never changed the personnel policies when we hired the firefighters 24 hours. And so Michelle and I have been struggling with this for almost a year about what is the fair way to do earn time for the firefighters. Because for the regular 40-hour week employees, our earn time calculation, how we accrue it, includes 6 days of sick time, which is 6 times 8 is 48 hours. And that is what we're allowed to carry forward each year, something equivalent to what the sick time would be. Unfortunately for the firefighters, working 24 hours, if they get sick, they need to take a 24-hour shift off. So we're only getting 48 hours. They'd only get 2 days of sick time. The flip side of that is they're scheduled for 2 24-hour shifts a week. Their second week would be 72 hours if they didn't have that Kelly day. So I feel like their vacation time, an earned week, is 48 hours rather than 40. Because if you multiply 48 hours times 52 weeks, you get 2,196 or 2,496 hours, not the 22,080 that a 40-hour week employee works. Are you with me so far?
Yep.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. So the whole previous policy was written to talk about rotating shift workers that work 12-hour shifts and to pay them overtime for anything more than what they are scheduled for. So if you were scheduled for 2 12-hour shifts and you work 3, you get 12 hours of overtime. If you were scheduled for 1 and you work 2, you get 12 hours of overtime. When Michelle and I looked at the Fair Labor Standards Act for 24-hour shift employees, you don't have to start paying them until they work over 106 hours in a 2-week period. And with 2 48-hour shifts in 2 weeks, they only come to 96. So we don't pay them overtime until they reach the 106. So as long as they work their regular shifts, even if they come back for fires, they're still only getting straight time for an additional 10 hours. So basically what we've done is rewritten the policy to reflect that. It's in accordance with the state labor laws at 106 hours, but it changes their earned time accrual so that they're getting 6 24-hour shifts for sick, and then a week of vacation is 48 hours. So it's considerably more than a 40-hour week employee, but it should be because they're working more hours, and if they get sick, they should be made whole for at least that time. So we calculated it mathematically on what they will accrue each month, and we redid the policy. So I can send this to you electronically as well, but I did the I gave you each a copy of the 2013 policy, And then there's a copy of what I'm proposing for the 2019.
What's the rotation? 2 days on, 2 days off, or?
1 day on, 2 days off. So it's 2 shifts a week. Do I have enough? Oh, I have enough.
This is one copy of 2018.
2013, 2013. Here's another.
Okay, it's,
Oh,
you
it's
have
stapled
it
together.
attached, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So 13 is on top and 19 is underneath. And I
Yeah.
highlighted in yellow. I highlighted in yellow basically the parts that are changing. And I had Michelle help me with all the math for it and double check it all to make sure. And basically, you know, since it's been a year, I really, and they've been very patient about this because they know we've been working on it. We have enough money in the personnel budget to make this effective October 1st rather than waiting until next year. And that's pretty much what I'm proposing.
Did the fire chief see it,
Yes,
review it? He's good with it?
yes. And I told him how much it would be in 2020's budget.
Yeah.
It's gonna cost about another $10,000, but we knew it was coming anyway, cause it's only fair. I mean, we can't treat them, I don't think it's fair to treat them like 40-hour-week employees when they're working 96 hours in 2 weeks instead of 80. And they're not really balking about, they came to me, and asked me about the 96, if they could be paid for overtime after 96 hours, and I said, state labor law says 106, and that would be like another $10,000. So, you know, Chief Nason and I talked about that too, and I don't think we should do that. The only piece where they get paid overtime in less than 106 hours is to come back for training. Because I don't want anybody sitting at home saying, I'm not going to training this week because I've only got 97 hours in and I won't get paid overtime for it. I think it's in our best interest for a couple of hours of training a month to pay them overtime for that. But that's the only thing that they get paid overtime for in less than 96 hours. And it still carves out, you know, if they use vacation earned time in that time, then it doesn't count towards their overtime. I think it's a good balance of fair for them and not totally strapping the town financially.
Some weeks they could be working 3 24-hour shifts?
No, because of the Kelly Day.
Yeah.
So that really,
Takes it out of there.
yeah, unless
it's-
somebody bangs out sick, they really
Yeah.
should never get that kind of overtime.
Yeah.
And I think your son does the scheduling and he's pretty on top of that. They have enough call people, that so far it has not been an issue. I don't believe we've had to pay a firefighter a full 24-hour shift.
If the chief's good with it, I'm good with it. He's extremely frugal. He's one of our most frugal department heads there is.
No, I'm
so.
good with it if he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he knew that we had to make some changes when
Exactly.
we went from 12 to 24, and they were pretty good about, you know, this is our first time having 24-hour shifts, so how are we gonna address this?
We had the
What's
same problem
fair?
with the 12-hour shifts, that when they took vacation, they got paid for 8 hours, but they worked 12, and it took us forever to get through that too.
Yeah, that doesn't really seem fair. I don't wanna penalize them for doing
So,
shift work.
so they're getting 20 hours earned a month at 1 to 5?
They will, yep,
That's 6 weeks a year.
not at 24-hour shifts.
But the city will,
Their week is 48 hours.
right.
So they're gonna get 6 sick days, just like a 40-hour week. 6 sick days is
It's 24 hours a
140
whack,
It's 144 hours instead of 48.
correct.
It's
So
it's
it
almost
sounds
100
like more,
hours
but it
more.
isn't.
It is, but
Not
if
lot,
you're
but-
sick, you're sick, and my sick shift is 8 hours, and their sick shift is 24.
Yeah.
Kelly works 8 hours. Got it.
But,
Except when she works 7,
Yeah.
and you can't do anything because I'm salary.
but I guess I don't
more than
understand
10
this.
hours.
If you're saying if they, if employees with 1 to 5 years, they're gonna get 20 hours of earned time a month.
Right.
But that's 1 day of sick time, because it's 24
Right.
hours.
I get 6.77 hours because I only work a 40-hour week, and then it goes up from there.
See, if they get
I'm just looking at 6
28
weeks
hours,
vacation a year.
It's
But it
not
isn't.
6 weeks vacation.
it isn't, because they have to take it in 24-hour cycles. So it'd only be 6 days
Right.
at 24-hour
It's 6 weeks
cycles.
for you,
It'd
because
be-
you work an 8-hour day.
Yeah.
It's only
Times
6
three.
days
Times
for them.
3, it's only 6 days for them. So if they wanted a 6-week vacation, they'd only take a 6-day vacation because they get 24 hours, they get credited, it would be a 24-hour cycle. You see what I'm
When you
saying?
take a day off. it's
When you take
24 hours.
when you take a day off, it's not, you're taking that 8 hours off plus the 12 hours underneath it.
You're
They're
taking
taking
3 of my
24
days.
hours right instantly. So, it sounds like they're getting tremendous, but it really isn't. Because they're doing it in 6 days and you'd do it in 6 weeks if you were taking, if you got that amount of hours.
I guess I understand it that way, but still. Take a day off, take a day off.
Yeah, but see, when you take a day off, you're taking 8 hours plus the
If they
nighttime,
take 8
which you
hours,
wouldn't
they
take
only get
that.
a third of their
But
shift
they
off,
have to
and then
take
they have to come
24
back to
hours.
work.
Because their shift is 24 hours, not 8.
I get it,
Yeah, no, it's a little complicated, hard to.
And it's not really that much of an increase. It's doubled instead of tripled because they were getting 12-hour shifts.
Yeah.
So it's not as bad as it seems, even though it seems like a lot.
Yeah. And the best way I look at it is the 6 weeks. You just said it's a 6-week vacation, but it's only 6 days to them. It's 6 full days. It's Monday through Saturday if they took their whole time.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's got to be some trust between us and the employees that they're not going to abuse it, but,
Yeah.
you know, earned time is earned time, and this is how it works, and their shift is 24 hours, not 8.
And they are important.
Yeah, I mean, it's worked out as good as I think it could have. You know, Chief Nason,
And like Kenny said, I mean, if I'm sure he's analyzed this to death. And,
No.
and he'd be the one I'd ask for his opinion, so,
yeah, I went to him first. I mean,
yeah. And
I
always
would
got the
never-
numbers done.
I would never bring it to you without talking to Chief Nason about it first.
I'm good.
Me too.
All right, need a motion?
Motion made.
Second.
Effective October 1st.
Yep.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Gonna be here before you know it.
Yeah.
So my next
week.
thing is another cleanup thing for personnel policies. Right now, our waiting period for our health insurance is 60 days. Our waiting period for our dental insurance is 6 months. I'd like to make them the same 60 days. I know you'd probably like to make them both 6 months. I'd like to make them both 60 days. Part of the reason is for ease of administration, but also because the town pays for a one-person dental plan, but if you have a 2-person or a family, you pay 100% of the difference. The town makes no payment. So, and a one-person dental plan is $43 a month. So by making people wait 6 months, you're saving $240. Yeah, $240-ish. To give it to them after 60 days is only costing us $160. And then everything would be consistent. So when we do the orientation, you don't have to remember, oh, in 60 days I can have health insurance. In 6 months I can have dental. You know, it just makes everything consistent.
Flow easier. Yeah, I'm good with that.
And I don't have anybody that's waiting for this now. Nobody's gonna benefit by it. It's just it would be from today forward for new hires, this is how it would work. It's gonna be so much easier to administer the policy, and
Do it all
again,
right then and there. and-
there's no huge, because all we pay is the one-person plan, and anything more that you want is 100% on you, on the employee.
I'm good with it.
All right, so make a motion on that,
Make the motion to bring it to
60
60
days.
days
60 days
on the dental.
of the
Yep.
dental.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So effective immediately.
Yep.
Go on, aye.
Effective as soon as New Hampshire health insurance trust and
Enrollment.
do it for
Yeah.
us. I probably have to notify them, and I don't know. if
That's
they can
coming
do
up
it.
soon anyway, the open enrollment.
Open enrollment is January 1st, but I think it opens the 1st of December.
Right.
My next thing is New Hampshire DOT letter regarding a speed limit change. So as part of the fund that is going to be the new railroad crossing, I just got a letter today that they're going to change the speed limit down from 35 to 45.
Oh, from that Harmony
Yeah,
Road?
yeah. Yeah, they had a meeting on that the same day that I went up to the corner
Yeah,
here.
I don't think I know anybody that slows down to 35.
That's why they've done the test, and
Yeah.
it all justifies, and the state's all on board with it. And John has done his research on it, and he's all on board with it, so.
Yeah, he's copied on this letter as well, so they won't do it until they do the improvement, so it'll all happen next spring but they'll be putting up new signs and something about a dilemma zone.
What'd you call it?
A dilemma zone, the 45-mile-an-hour speed limit will require that the traffic signals at Route 16 and Route 153 include a dilemma zone protection. The dilemma zone is that segment of a high-speed approach to traffic signals between the distance where an approaching motorist seeing the yellow indication will clear the intersection well before the signal turns red, and the distance where the vehicle will clearly need to stop for the red light. Basically, it's like they built in like a safety thing so you don't get T-boned all the time. Who knew?
Yeah, yeah.
Who knew? I always look both ways to make
Yeah.
sure I'm not gonna get T-boned, but there's a dilemma zone.
Well, I think they're talking about the people that speed up to beat the yellow light.
Right. Dilemma zone protection provides advanced vehicle detection that can determine if an approaching vehicle is not likely to stop and extend the all red.
Oh,
So
so
it
it must be something on the
sense you,
machine,
and if
senses
you're
you're
going too
coming.
fast to
Yeah.
stop,
Wow, that's new.
it stays red.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get ready.
So just tromp on it when you see it.
Yeah.
It's a little
Yeah, that's,
frightening, actually.
The state police were there also for this, so they all
Yeah,
agreed on
it
this.
says that they met with everybody out there. If everybody's doing 45 anyway.
That's what they determined, or better.
So the budget committee has set their dates. I want to give you this schedule that Tony has labored over.
well, we sort of think our portion. too.
Right. And so I was thinking that we don't have a lot left, so I thought under the selectmen's work session at the next meeting, I knew this one was gonna be pretty long, so I didn't, but like, you know, patriotic purposes, it's a one-line budget.
Yeah, it's
We
pretty
can just tick that off. There's a couple minor changes that need to be made, one to the fire department, wasn't there also one to police? Oh, no, Parks and Rec maybe?
Well, they haven't voted on Parks and Rec Corporation.
Right, so we have a couple budgets that you've discussed but not voted on as well. So I was thinking the next meeting, hopefully the agenda isn't so jam-packed and we can finish up some of those and then see where we are. We're pretty good, except for warrant articles. I need to start crafting the warrant articles and we need to talk about those.
And we should finish it then, because the following Monday is a holiday, they meet the 21st, the budget committee's gonna want time
Yeah.
Right.
to review this
We-
too, they don't want it the day before the meeting.
So the 14th is Columbus Day. I think we need to be getting this to them by the 15th, so they have it for the 6
do.
days, because we need to put budget books together for them, and there's some work to be done, so, Ken, you're the liaison,
Yep.
so if you could let me know that you're going to be sitting next to me, so I'm not afraid.
Putting it in the calendar now.
And
Do we need to schedule a day before our next meeting to maybe wrap this up, or?
No, she just said that we could do it
I think-
probably with just a
At the
workshop
next
session at
Yeah, I
at our
think-
meeting.
I think 20 minutes at the end of your meeting, I think we can
Do it, I think so.
finish it up.
So you're talking the 9th.
Yeah.
I think it's on my sewer either.
It's
I don't
young
think
kip
I
up.
put that on my note sheet today.
And right now, I'm not leaning towards attending the Saturday outside agency one. So we should probably talk Ken and I should probably talk about, like, the fire department's on there, Chief Mason knows his budget. I mean, I guess after the 9th, if something comes up, we could have a meeting on the 10th or 11th, just to finalize it before Columbus Day. But I really think you could get it done.
All right. We'll go for it, but I'm gonna look through it, see if there's anything I see that.
Okay, yeah, send me an email and,
Yeah.
and if I think it's gonna take more time, we can do
Because
a,
we still gotta, we really haven't, the police either, I think we have a couple.
we didn't
things.
vote on the police, but you went
Right.
through it.
Yeah,
and
there's a
I
couple
think-
things we wanted to change.
Yeah, I think he's suggested, and I think the CIP committee even suggested, because some of them are on the budget committee, moving the cruiser out of the operating budget on the warrant article, but leaving the equipment in
Mhm.
Yeah,
the operating budget, so it isn't so.
so it doesn't seem like it's
Yeah, so
crazy.
we can look at that and,
It's still crazy.
Oh, yeah.
and then the last thing I had is, I'm gonna have a couple of health trust informational meetings where, one at 10 o'clock in the morning, one at 5 o'clock at night, where the employees and their spouses can come and ask the, agency that writes our health insurance questions. I don't think we do this enough, I don't think everybody understands their health insurance, and I don't think we're all taking advantage of the wellness options under that, so I'm just gonna do a couple of informational sessions, just so you guys know. And if you, you can buy the insurance, like our part-time employees, if you're interested in attending and see what it's all about, you're welcome. There's a 5 o'clock at night one at the public safety building and a 10 a.m. one here. You guys wanna I can also send that to you electronically. That's better. Now you guys don't like paper. And that's all I had.
All right. We got the treasurer's monthly reports for information.
So you are.
Have a good one, I'll send you that email.
So you are.
Thank you.
We don't have any building permit leases.
You do not.
We do not. Payment manifest. We have the treasurer's payroll warrant for a total of $0.
I'll vote for that
With
one.
checks. All right.
So there's a manifest in there for the truck. I had her write the check, because if I didn't have you sign the manifest, I couldn't. So I was just gonna void the check if you voted no.
Mhm.
So there's the check for the truck is in there on its own manifest.
Okay.
And
All right, so this one's just for voided checks,
Void and reissue.
total of
probably.
0 on that one.
Do we make a motion to accept that?
Yes,
Yeah.
she's reissued.
I'll make a
checks.
motion to reissue the checks.
All right, I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
We have the treasurer's payroll warrant for $80,311.04.
I'll make a motion to carry.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Let's sign that one. Okay, and we have a treasurer's warrant for the $18,500, and this is, I believe this is the truck? Yep, this is for the truck.
I'll make a motion to accept.
I'll
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
And we have another $0 one for voided checks. A motion on that one.
I'll make a motion to reissue.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And here's the big one, for $132,980.94.
And what's that one for? That's,
It's for all our bills
yeah, I'll make a motion for that.
and all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, I second it. I'm sorry. We have some town clerk stuff here, you guys. Need to sign. All right, minutes. We have, we don't have any sealed ones this time,
We
right?
do have
We do?
one set of seals for September 11th.
Is that number 6
It
or
is number 1.
number 1? Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the sealed minutes for non-public session number 1.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
And we have non-public number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Need a motion on those.
Motion to accept?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And our regular minutes.
There are 2 sets, one from the 10th, one from the 11th.
One of those was a budget work session.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll make a motion for the our regular minutes.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
You wonder why there's no trees. Huh, there, Miss Boda?
She killed them all.
You, Kenny and Mark are saving the trees while you're killing them. Huh?
We just throw them in the barrel. Throw these-
I don't feel so bad when I get all this paper that I'm withholding without the computer.
They just picked that up today, the library, or
Did they?
the cemetery would be happy to.
Oh, they probably.
Are they happy with it?
Static.
No, they just took it, so they're building it at home, back at their,
But they were okay, I mean, they're happy they were able to get it?
oh yeah.
Good.
They're thrilled
think
that
we-
they don't have to wait till next April.
I think we covered all the work session unless you guys got something to talk about.
No, I'm
I
good.
think we've done pretty well. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
That's a long agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for coming out.